All right, so you guys may or may not have heard the news about the Writers Guild of America strike. For those of you who are not familiar, the Writers Guild of America is basically a union that's made up of all of the writers who write stuff for Hollywood. So this includes shows and movies. Writers Guild of America, they built that. They're the ones who made this happen. Now, they got an impasse recently, and now they're on strike. What does this mean for entertainment? Well, for now, this means that all writers who are associated with the Writers Guild of America will not be producing anything. They won't be writing anything. So we've been seeing, companies like production companies make all these announcements about things they want to do. Well, they can't do the writing portion of any of those projects yet, because the writers are currently on strike. And this extends not just to, say, blockbuster movies and high production television shows. Things like late night talk shows, for the most part, are not going to be on the air anymore. They're going to be doing reruns. We're also, even now, already starting to see some channels shift towards doing unscripted stuff, like reality shows, to try and fill in those primetime time slots with some live programming that isn't just reruns. So it'll be really interesting to see how it affects viewers from a consumer standpoint. But I do want to talk about, just everything that is going on, like what's at stake here, what they were all fighting over. So Deadline has been doing some really good reporting on everything that's been happening. We directly are seeing this affect like 800,000 employees, although that's just like direct. Indirectly, in 2021, the Writers Guild of America supported like 2.4 million total employees. So there could be a similar number in 2023 being supported there. Now, there are two sides here. There are the writers, and then there's also the producers. And the producers are put together in something called the AMPTA, Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers. And so they're the ones who are going back and forth. You've got WGA, and then you've got AMPTA. Now, there have been a lot of different things here. One aspect is the members of the Writers Guild have been arguing that the AMPTA, anyways, the producers are kind of trying to turn writing into a gig economy, and they're making it an enterprise that's nearly impossible to make a living from. And so, we do see this in, let's see, I don't know if it's anywhere in this article, but they've been asking for like, raises of up to 6%, but the producers so far have only been willing to give raises up to 3%, which is rather interesting. I think it could signal something later on that we're gonna talk about later. But I did find that decision rather interesting. So the writers, they want a variety of things, right? So one thing that they've been the one thing that they've been pushing is, guarantees that, AI is not going to be utilized to generate some scripts, and the producers are like, we still want to keep that option open. So that's one thing that they haven't been able to agree on. Another thing that writers want is a change in how royalties are divvied out. The Deadline article doesn't really get into this particularly well, but a lot of this is targeted towards the fact that we're now in a streaming era, right? And so people now want compensation that gives them like certain cuts or certain amounts of money based on how many subscribers a streaming service has, and that's something that these producers have sort of balked at. Maybe it's because subscribers do tend to come and go, and so they don't want to necessarily scare away writers if they're like, well, you keep on losing subscribers and gaining subscribers, I don't know how much money I'm going to make. So the producers have kind of balked at giving writers a bigger cut of their productions based on the fact that they are living on these relatively lucrative streaming services. Some are more profitable than others for sure, but they're still, there's still a source of revenue for a lot of these companies. That's something that these writers have been complaining about because much of their compensation so far has been coming through traditional channels, such as ad revenue and that sort of thing, rather than through all of the ad revenue avenues that are available. Another thing too that they've been wanting is bigger writers' rooms, which the producers don't really want, and they also want a guaranteed amount of episodes to work on a specific show. So for example, if a show is greenlit, the writers want, I think it was 8 episodes. Writers want that as like a minimum, so that if a writer is signed on to do a show, they write at least 8 episodes of that show. Now that's one of the things that, I'm not a pro-union guy, but to me sounds very reasonable. And we've seen shows before. I think Designated Survivor is the best example of this, where the company or producers or whatever keeps on changing, like who writes this episode and who writes that episode, to the point now where there's almost no cohesion throughout the entire series because the writers keep on changing. This would sort of limit that, and I think that in the end could lead to better shows. Also, with bigger writers' rooms, perhaps you might get some more pushback against bad ideas and bad writing that we've seen in shows like She-Hulk, because now you have more voices to say, maybe we should change this, or maybe this isn't the best direction to take the series. So that is one move where, especially as a consumer, I can definitely see it improving the arts and the product that we end up getting on the receiving end. Now, meanwhile, the studios haven't really been asking for too much. They have been very vague in some of their messaging, but we haven't really seen them demand too much, although we have seen them reject some of their writers' demands. So that more or less makes up for, the conflict. It does sound, a little bit like, man, you guys are just arguing over price points, if I'm talking about it on a very high level. But there's some things here where a lot of writers essentially have been, saying that their livelihoods are at stake here. Now, this doesn't mean that we're not going to see any more new content. There's a lot of content that's already been produced. There's even stuff that's been completely shot. It just still needs to be edited. So stuff that needs to be edited or is in post-production is fine. And anything that's already been completely written can probably still be taped. But it comes down to making brand new stuff. So writing a whole new seasons for shows that are going to be airing next year is most likely going to be affected if the writing is not yet finished. So there's still going to be several months where we're getting new content, but at a certain point, we're not going to be getting any new content that is scripted. Now, one thing that I find rather interesting, and here is where this expands beyond not just, fans of entertainment. One thing I find rather interesting is that the last time there was a strike, a Writers Guild of America strike, was in 2007 through 2008. And, similarly, compensation was one of the issues at play here. Now, just to jog your guys' memory, what else happened from 2007 to 2008? The 2007 to 2008 financial crisis. Now, I know that correlation is not necessarily causation, but it does certainly seem, to me at least, that this is yet another indication that our economy is kind of crumbling and going down the toilet. Another thing that we did see in 2007, 2008 was banks failing, fluctuations in interest rates, which is honestly what we're seeing now too. So this whole Writers Guild of America situation really does seem like an indicator that we truly are headed towards another recession / depression. It's really unfortunate, but it definitely seems like this is something that we're marching towards. Now, we don't know when this will cause massive effects, but it likely will cause massive effects in the future. I mean, we're already seeing companies lay off workers, right, in various sectors. Elon Musk got a lot of flack for this, but then a whole lot of other companies started laying off their workers too. Amazon has multiple rounds. Facebook has been, well, Meta has been laying off a bunch of their workers. So this is a very serious thing. Someone might, look at the thumbnail or title of this video and be like, I don't care about the Writers Guild of America. But it's much bigger than the Writers Guild of America. This is an indication that our economy is starting to collapse. Once again, as it happened in 2007, in 2008, it's happening again in 2023, and these woes may continue into 2024. So I did want to add that little bit of context and say, hey, this is a little bit bigger than just about your TVs and movies. This is an indication that the economy is going down. So I just wanted to bring that up to you guys. I hope you guys found that interesting and helpful. If there's more stuff about the Writers Guild of America that you want me to talk about, leave a comment down below, because I do plan on doing another video about the Writers Guild of America as the Writers Guild strike continues, because this is going to be an ongoing event. It'd be good to, do little checkups, talk about how the strike is going, go more in depth on, certain stipulations that they're arguing about, if you guys find that interesting enough. So, yeah. But that's pretty much all I got for this. Hope you guys enjoyed the video.